We don't dim the lights too much. I just have one thing to say. Y'all save me a little food, I ain't ate yet. So don't eat it all, but please enjoy. Do we have the PowerPoint up? Okay, we do. All right. So if you can hear the sound of my voice, say, hey. Hey. If you can hear the sound of my voice, say, I'm here. I'm here. If you can hear the sound of my voice, say, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay, we're good to go. Good to go. All right. So thank you so much for being here and being willing to actively engage in your own self-care. I'm super excited to share this information with you. And you know, the theme of this entire happening, I don't even know what to call it other than a happening, right, is protection, right? And so my take on protection is that it begins on the inside out. It's really important for us to understand that protection begins inside. So I titled this presentation Self-Care, right? Self-care, the foundation of protection. What does that mean, right? Self-care, the foundation of protection. So you can go to the next slide. Oh, before you go to the next slide, I want to share a little bit about this picture. This is a picture that was taken in Bali. People know where Bali is? Long way away, right? So I went to this incredible healing festival, and it was amazing, but it wasn't very Afrocentric. They actually had African drummers that were not black, so it was very interesting. So there was a lot good, but then you know, the healing aspect of it a little bit disconnected. But all of these black people that you see in the picture were all black healers. They were giving presentations, and it was really wonderful. So I think it's just amazing that no matter where we go, we're going to find our healing, and we find our connection. And these are healers from all around the world that came to Bali. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. Next slide. Thank you. Okay. So this is what we're going to talk about during the presentation. Just 3 things. We only have about an hour. And what does it mean to cultivate protection from the inside out? So just 3. Cultivating protection is an inside job. Important for us to understand that. We'll talk about the creation and cultivation of a self-care toolkit. And we'll also talk about self-care strategies and mantras. You've got to be on your game when it comes to self-care, right? Because our whole society is structured around the opposite of self-care. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Next slide. In my work, I call myself a body whisperer. I don't call myself the body whisperer, a body whisperer. And that came out of a very long journey. So when I was a child, I developed a respiratory illness. It was called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It was a chronic bronchitis. And I had it for 27 years. Nobody in the family smoked, right? But I had it, and the cough was really bad. And so what happened is every year the cough would get worse, but then the doctors would then increase the medication. And so this went on for years and years and years. And when I got into my 20s, I was like, wait a minute. It's so interesting to me that it took me 20 some years to wake up and go, what am I doing? What is going on, right? But that's what happened. I looked at my life and I was like, okay, I could keep going in this direction, take the medication, I get worse, the medication increases. Let's keep doing that. Or something inside me said, you better find something else to do. Because do the math. If you keep taking the medication and they keep upping it, you're either going to overdose on the medication, or you're going to, at some point, right, cough yourself to death. So I was like, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, yeah, and in addition to that, you'll get asthma and emphysema before you die. That was the doctor's response. And I was like, okay, I need another strategy. So I discovered an old healing strategy, I guess you could call it. It is sort of a medicine. It's an old system of healing from India called Ayurveda. I don't know how I got led to that, but that's what I got led to. And what I thought was amazing about that is that Ayurveda when translated into English means the science of living. And I thought it was really interesting that they spent so much time in the beginning of the book. I'm like, give me my healing. What do I eat? What do I do? Right? They're like, no. If you want to heal the body, you actually have to learn how to live your life. What does that mean? How does that come together for you? And I realized that the first cough, the first incident that actually led me to the cough was trauma, right? This area, the heart and the chest, is the seat of guilt and grief. And I witnessed a crime, and it was really intense. And I was also manipulated my entire childhood with guilt, right? My body was literally protesting that. I didn't even know that it was about that. And I have people to this day that argue with me that emotions are not connected to disease, right? It is a direct connection. So when I began to look at how I lived my life and how I processed emotion and trauma and changed my diet, all of that, I looked at all of that in the book. And I said, well, what I've been doing for 27 years ain't work. Let's just try it. 3 months later, the cough stopped. No medicine, nothing but love, the right food, looking at my life, that's it. So 27 years of doctor's disease drugs, and then 3 months of Ayurveda, and I'm free, right? So now what do I do with my life? It totally changed the trajectory of everything that I thought, everything I believed. So I said, okay, I've got to dig into this deeper. So I became a naturopathic doctor, and I realized that in my journey, I was able to listen to the body. The body was whispering, right? And the body had been whispering to me all along. Even the cough was a type of a whisper, right? It was very powerful. I'm like, oh, so I started calling myself a body whisperer, not the body whisperer, because everyone is a body whisperer, right? I'm teaching people how to connect in with what I call your innate wisdom, your innate knowledge. Does that make sense? Connecting in with the truest part of yourself. So that's what that's about. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. This is a huge PowerPoint. So when we're looking at cultivating self-care from the inside out, I want to make sure we understand what self-care is about, right? So self-care is about building a bond of trust between the body and the mind. What does it mean to build a bond of trust between the body and the mind? I'll give you an example. If you are sitting here right now thinking, I wish I went to the bathroom before she started this presentation. That would be A, your body whispering, and B, a test to see if you are willing to strengthen the bond, right? If you continue to sit there holding it, you're gonna break that bond of trust. But if you say, you know what, Dr. Phil will understand, I gotta honor my body, and you go to the bathroom and you come back, right? Build a bond of trust. So maybe that's an easy example. An example that's not so easy is that, you know, maybe you say something to me and it upsets me, and I really like you. So then, but there was definitely a infringement on my boundary, right? That's a mild thing. So I'm gonna just let it slide. No, your body goes, every time you think about it, you feel something, that's your body whispering, right? So in every aspect of your life, we wanna think about that. Self-mastery and self-empowerment. Self-mastery is one of the hardest jobs you will ever have. You got two choices. Either you master self, or you are mastered or conquered by self, right? Two choices. You use or you get used, right? So you learn how to be conscious in that. The transmutation of stress to energy. Stress is not necessarily a bad thing, right? So I'm trying to get this body in shape, right? I'm trying to literally get down like James Brown, like I'm Navy SEAL training, right? Because we need that for this craziness that's going on in the world. So if I want to get these arms nice and strong, I'm gonna have to put some stress on them. To get down, maybe do some, push-ups, whatever. I need to add stress. So that is concentrated stress that I am transmuting into a high frequency energy, right? So what if now then I go into a place of work and I'm dealing with microaggression, right? Microaggressions. Nobody deals with that here. Microaggressions. How do you transmute what's coming towards you, right, into something else, a higher frequency? And a lot of people are like, I don't know how to swim with the sharks. I'm like, I'm not trying to get you to swim with the sharks. I'm trying to get you to transcend, right? You're transcending. right? That's what we're talking about, transmutation of stress to energy, and then infusing mindfulness into everything that you do, all day, every day. It's a part of your life. Does that make sense? Great, next slide. So we're going to talk about strategies, and then we're also going to, you can go to the next slide. We're going to also talk about ways in which we can connect. So I didn't actually introduce myself properly. I am Dr. Phil. I am a naturopathic doctor. I teach people how to get healthy without drugs or surgery. I'm also a Qigong teacher. Qigong is a practice from China, but there are different forms of Qigong from all around the world. And Qigong is all about connecting with energy. And I'm really in love with this practice because I believe that when we empower ourselves from the inside out, we're unstoppable. And so Qigong actually gave birth to other practices like the martial arts, Tai Chi, acupuncture, which some of you are experiencing today. And so you have to have heroes everywhere, everywhere. And one of mine is Bruce Lee. I don't know why black people love Bruce Lee so much, but Bruce Lee was the ultimate Qigong master. If you can look at how he practiced, his craft, but also listen to what he said. And one of my favorite quotes that I think will help set black folks free is this one. He says, "I do not fear the one who practices 10,000 kicks. I fear the one who practices one kick 10,000 times." Right? And this is deep for black folks because we love to talk about stuff, but the power is in the practice. Complete my sentence. An apple a day. How many people eat an apple a day? Okay, we got a couple. All right. So people say to me, "I know, but I'm still struggling." I'm like, that's because you only have it up here. You have to have it in practice. Right? A person who practices one kick 10,000 times, I don't want to be ever on their bad side. Right? But a person that practices 10,000 kicks, I'm like, kick me. Let me see what you got. Right? We need to be strong in this movement. Right? We need to bring consciousness and love back to the planet. In order to do that, we have to be strong. Right? So we need to find a practice that resonates with us, whatever it is, and practice it. Thank you, next slide. So the power is in the practice. So how then do you activate your energy from the inside out? I don't like to talk about something without demonstrating it. So I'm going to walk you through a quick exercise right now. And this is one of my favorite activation of power exercises. So since you're sitting, I want you to, no, you can do this sitting or standing, it doesn't matter. But since you're sitting, come up on the front 1/3 of your chair. So just come up a little bit, right? And then rock your hips from side to side so that you can feel the bone underneath the hip. You're gonna feel the bone right about here. So you don't wanna sit here, which is your tailbone, right? You wanna sit here in the sit bones. All right. So from here, pull the shoulders up, back, and down. And remember earlier this morning I gave you a practice and I said pretend that you're in water and try to move like, you're moving through water without making ripples. So we're going to go back to that again. And then lower your arms down. I'm going to do this with one hand. This will be interesting. And then from here, let's keep it really quiet in the room. Really quiet. Good. And then rotate your palms forward. Bending at the elbows, breathe in and raise the hands up to the height of the chest. Slow it down. Exhale, turn the palms in so that they face each other, like this. And then breathe in, and as you exhale, relax your shoulders down. Now from here, we're going to do the same movement 3 times. Breathe in, expand the space between the hands. They come out. Good. As you exhale, the hands come in towards each other. Keep your body totally relaxed. We're going to do this 2 more times. Breathe in, expand outward. Exhale, the hands come inward. Slow it down even more now. Breathe in, expand outward. Nice. Exhale, the hands come inward. Now come to a pause. Breathe slowly and deeply, but pulse the hands in and out slowly. And as you do so, I want you to take yourself back to a memory. Maybe when you were a child, or perhaps your last bubble bath. And remember the little game that we used to play, where you could touch the edge of a soap bubble right before it popped. In Qigong, this is a technique we call empty force. So as you press inward, imagine you have a soap bubble inside your hand. And as you press inward, you want to make contact with the soap bubble without popping it. This is going to force you to slow down so much that it's like you're barely moving, but you're pressing inward. Good. Breathing slowly and deeply. Now pay attention to what you feel. It doesn't matter what you feel, it just matters that you pay attention. Sometimes people feel tingling or pulsing or relaxation, or sometimes it's like pressure, like two magnets of the same polarity pushing each other apart. Doesn't matter what it is. Just pay attention to what you feel. Good. Then take a slow, deep breath in. And turn the palms down so that they face the floor. And as you exhale, slowly lower the hands down. Relax the body completely. Good. Quick question. Did anybody feel anything? Yeah? What did you feel?
I was in the bubble bath. I was with the bubbles in the tub, just feeling all the relaxation.
Beautiful. Good, good. Anybody else? What did you feel?
I almost felt like I felt the bubble or something.
You felt a bubble? Well, I didn't see nothing. It's interesting, right? You felt something, but I didn't see it. Anybody else? Anybody feel heat or cold or anything else? Relaxed? Tingling. Okay. Okay. This is very powerful. So we have someone in the bathtub, someone with bubbles, we've got tingling, relaxation. We all did the exact same exercise at the exact same time, but we had different experiences. Okay? So then whose energy got activated? Yours. Exactly, exactly, right? So connecting in, sometimes people do this exercise and they say, oh, my shoulder hurts. I'm like, yeah, your body's whispering. When you slow down enough, the body goes, hey, this is what's going on right now, right? So I love this exercise because the first thing you want to do is learn how to tap into the truest part of yourself before you respond. So I'm going to give you a couple of practices that we do throughout this presentation just so that you have something and you can say, okay, I'll try this and see if this works in this particular situation. But you need to have a toolkit of X happens and this is my strategy. Y happens and this is my strategy. You need to have it down cold. Okay, next slide. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So the self-care toolkit is the ultimate protection shield. It really is. It's very, very powerful. So if you want to advance the slide again, because there are a couple of strategies that I want to talk about. And the first strategy is how you start your day, right? I say to people, before you check in with your spouse, before you check the news, before you look at your phone, text messages, check in with yourself, right? People say to me all the time, my God, what's going on in the world today? It's crazy. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'll tell you what's happening. What's happening is that now you are having to face the truth of what has been going on all along, right? It's not really much has changed. You're just having to deal with it now, right? And you know, there's good that comes out of every horrific situation. And to bring something to light, if I don't know I have a sore here, then I can't heal it. I don't know where to put the salve. So now we know places where we can put the salve. So we can decide to run around like, oh my God, it's crazy, or we can go salve, 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 right? Let's think about how we're going to move forward. So if you advance, go to the next slide, go to the next, please, right? So check in with yourself first and go to the next one. Joy and purpose, right? Joy and purpose. Where is your joy? So I talked about this place being the seat of guilt and grief, right? So this place here is the seat of joy, right? Or lack thereof. So what's going on here? This is your stomach and pancreas area. This is the area of the solar plexus, right? Area of the solar plexus. And interesting, the lack of joy, lack of sweetness in life causes you to crave sweetness, right? And so how interesting that Black people in particular manifest diabetes, right? Which is a breakdown of vulnerability, you know, in a blocked area of the solar plexus, right? But if we were to work on our power, generating the power from the inside out, we would find the sweetness in life and in being connected to our joy and our purpose. So let's go to the next one. Therapeutic movement. We tried that this morning. We did a little bit of movement, and we'll practice a little bit more throughout the day. Things get stuck in the body, right? You're sitting, some of you are sitting with your legs crossed, right? Which would block energy underneath where their lymph nodes, right? Just the way we sit this way, we crush energy that's trying to get into the heart, right? So, thank you. I gave you a free pass until this part of the slide. Next one, breathe, pause. So this is what I want you to remember. Anytime anything happens, the first thing you do, you breathe, and then you pause, and then you speak. Next one, act, right? So someone says something to you, and you are so tempted to jump right back in there. Don't do that. Self-mastery is a hard job. Breathe, pause, and let spirit speak. Speak truth to power. I know it's tempting, and I know it's hard because people know how to, you know, they know how to dig you, especially family, right? Because they know you. But I'm telling you, there is something powerful. I've had conversations with people and I could hear them, the conversation going a certain way, and the only thing I do is I just pull my shoulders up, back, and down, and I start breathing. They immediately change. I don't even have to, I haven't said nothing yet. It's literally because they can feel me powering myself up. I'm literally plugging into the source of my power. Right? You have to do that before you output, right? Next one, when in pain, reframe, right? When you're in pain, you're not necessarily seeing clearly. And by the way, if you breathe into the pain, right, that will help to move the pain out of the body. So I'm going to give you an example of 3 ways of looking at something. So let's pick a negative emotion like anger, right? 3 ways. You can say, I am angry, right? But I am angry, we've said that a lot, right? But that's not true, and it's never been true. I am Phyllis. Anger is not my identity. So for me to say I am angry, that's not true. Here's the next one. I feel anger. Now that's very powerful because it's true. I'm acknowledging that I'm Phyllis, and I'm acknowledging in this moment I'm feeling anger. Right? Powerful, very powerful to reframe and tell the truth about what's really happening. Right? Now, when you go through a period of transformation, and when you really connect into the source, you're going to move to the 3rd one. And the 3rd one is where all the power happens. Anger is arising in me. You have pulled back so far that you can tell that something's happening, but it's not driving your actions, right? It's almost like you're looking at yourself through the lens of a camera, right? I am angry, that's unconscious behavior. Becoming conscious, I feel anger, right? Transformation, anger is arising in me. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right? So you've got to slow down enough to make that connection for yourself. Next one. Learn and adapt, right? Learn and adapt. So if I give you a strategy, I don't want you to go home and say, okay, she said, breathe in and do like this, and then I do like that, and then what am I supposed to do? It doesn't matter what I said. You're checking in with your own energy. You go home and you go, she said something about breathing and movement, so I'm just going to breathe, and I'm going to move, and I'm going to let my body tell me, right? I'm not your body whisperer, right? I'm not the guide of your own energy. Only you can say what that is, right? So you have a kind of a framework. That's what I'm offering you, a framework for checking in with yourself. But maybe your body says, I want you to go walk in the woods today. You know, I want you to pick up the phone and make that call or whatever it is, right? Check in with the truest part of yourself. Don't make it about me. It's you. All I'm trying to do is direct you back to your own power. Okay, let's go to the next one. Time management. So let's go to the next slide. The next slide is a time matrix that I put up here. And so in the center is Radiant Health. I work with a campaign for Black male achievement, and I also have a business called Radiant Health Strategies, because my vision for you is that you radiate health everywhere you go, right? It's one thing to be healthy, it's another thing to be such a beacon that people come up to you and they're like, what you doing? Your skin is the bomb, right? That's how you share and you grow and you evolve. So look at the time matrix, right? And I'm not going to go through each one because I don't have a lot of time, but I want you to look and see where are you on the time matrix. And I want to highlight two places that are so important for us to pay attention to. And these are the ones that we don't feel as Black people we even have the right to go, right? And I hope to shatter that in your mind right now. I hope to destroy the idea. Play and creativity, right? People are suffering. I can't play. And I said this to a couple of young brothers earlier. If you want to know how to live your life, just go outside and look at nature. Look at the birds, the trees, look how things grow. There is nothing that happens in a grinding mode. Nothing in nature. Only we do that. Right? We've been told that we have to do that. I was a production manager for PBS when I first got out of college. And I went and did something on an emergency room. And so we were filming the emergency room, and as we were filming, people were, putting the person on the gurney and, moving, and they were moving real slow. And I was like, could you speed it up, like for the camera, da, da, da. And they turned around, they're like, this is not television. This is how it gets done. Don't nobody go running down the hospital, running and throwing stuff on. That's not how it happens. That's Hollywood. And it was really funny that in that moment, I had completely forgotten how things go. You get so busy watching this stuff, you don't realize the truth is that does not happen anywhere. So why are we generating it within ourselves, right? So as Black folks, if we want to heal, we can heal through energizing and loving ourselves and then spreading that love. It does not have to be I'm wearing myself down. So have a conversation with yourself about that, right? And maybe hit the reset button in your mind and see what that looks like. When you check in with the truest part of yourself, there's never going to be I got to abuse myself to help this person. I got to give to the point I'm about to drop to help. No, stop that, right? So let's go to the next slide. And we'll talk a little bit about stretch. What is your stretch? So when I was in Bali, I saw these guys and they did something called poetry flow yoga. And I was like, y'all bad to the bone. So I said, look, I'm with the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. I love to watch Black men do things that are just outside of what we normally see in media, right? So since you're this poetry flow yoga thing, can you do something cool for me right quick? And that's what they did. I was like, dang, do you know what kind of abdominal muscles you need to have to pull that off? Beautiful. And they didn't even think about it. They were like, okay, do. I was like, whoa, right? Now, how many times have you seen an image this beautiful anywhere about Black people? Any person of color.
It almost looks like a hammock.
Isn't it incredible what you can do with the body, right? So I show this for a couple of reasons. One, because I want to highlight the beauty that's going on in the world that we don't hear about in the news, right? Two, because if we want to change the game in this country and around the world, we're going to have to stretch ourselves. So my question is, what's your stretch? Right? What's your stretch? What did you put on the back burner that needs to be in the front burner of your life? Right? What is the thing that's a little bit uncomfortable for you? I don't know anything about that, but I'm going to try and learn it. Right? I feel a little uncomfortable. I say to people all the time, how does a baby learn to walk? How does a baby learn to walk? Just think about it. I'm a baby, I'm lying here, and I see all these people around me walking. And I'm like, I'm stuck here. And there's a cookie over there, and I want that cookie, right? If only I could walk, right? So what happens is, eventually the baby's like, I'm gonna just start experimenting, right? So they start crawling and, but they're watching everybody else do this thing, right? Right? So what the stretch is think about how we inspire people to achieve is that we have a vision for something, even though we don't see the evidence of it right now. So the way I want Black people to stretch themselves is to think about this. Dr. Sean Jin Wright has this wonderful quote. He says, the greatest tragedy of oppression is our inability to vision beyond it. Right? Right? Very powerful. So what is your stretch? Think about it and then move from that place. Never get too comfortable with where you are, right? Always be pushing to be a little bit better. Do one more sit-up then it's comfortable for you. Just one more, that's it. Take one more step, just one little extra, and you will see your life absolutely transform. So let's go to the next slide. All right, this is another thing that will help set us free. This is all internal stuff, all internal health stuff. So when we look at trying to change the game, right? Protecting ourselves and advancing who we are as a people. What do you hear our leaders, what column of words do our leaders use most of the time? Which column? This one? This one? Yeah, we gotta resist. We gotta disrupt, demand, fight, struggle, confront. Right? Right? What if, for just 1 year, we stopped using every single one of these words? And then reframed and started using these words. I want to reimagine greatness for Black people. I want to dream a better dream for people of color, right? I want to discover all the power that we have. I want to discover all that's going on in the world. I want to create platforms so that we can share and live and grow with each other. What would that do for our consciousness, right? It will expand our consciousness. What do these words do with our consciousness? Compresses it, right? So we have to, I see signs all around Oakland, Oakland United Against Hate. I'm like, why can't we say Oakland United in Love? Yeah. Right? All we have to do is just shift the game. We have to be intentional about educating people about this, right? So let's go to the next one and you'll see the difference between the two. Next. One is closed and next one is opened, right? We have to open to the possibility of what can be, right? We have to open this. We have to change the way we speak all the time. This is a health and healing issue, right? Because our inability to go here means that there's something within ourselves that doesn't believe that it's possible. And you don't go in the body unless you first go in the mind, right? It's not gonna happen. So let's go to the next slide. I want to challenge you all. Next. So, this is going to be fun. Okay, we're done eating. We're done eating. I think we can make this work. So, the next thing, first you tap into the truest part of yourself, and then you activate your voice. It's important for you to speak your truth. So I'm going to need a little help. Maybe the mic stand, if you could bring the mic stand over, because I need both my hands in order to do this. I want to teach you an exercise that helps you to activate your voice. You can open that and put that in there. Thank you. All right, so oftentimes we have young people that don't utilize their voice. We have older people who are in positions where they're afraid to use their voice. And people think that one day you'll just learn how to have a voice. Voice it's like a garden. You have to cultivate the power and you have to continually work on it. So I'm going to show you an exercise that's called a hyper throw. And I'm going to challenge you to knock me down with your voice. Right? Right? So here's how the exercise goes. Show it to you first, and we're going to stand up and do it. I'm going to breathe in, and I'm going to bring my hands up to the height of my solar plexus. As I exhale, I'm going to turn the palms in, and I'm going to push that energy into this area, energizing myself for what's to come. The second part of the exercise is I'm going to breathe in and pull the energy up. When I'm pulling up, I'm getting ready to let go of something that I don't need anymore, right? Energizing myself. I'm going to bring up the energy and I'm going to hold it here and feel the tension build as I hold my breath. And when I'm ready, I'm going to release it. Breathe in and then lower the hands down. Think you can knock me down? Let's try. Up you go. Stand up. You know, I did a presentation for a bunch of leaders, and I asked them, joy, purpose, voice, pick something and tell me what your strategy is. You know, nobody picked voice because no one knew how to cultivate their voice, and these were all very high-level professionals, right? It's deep, and they're fighting on behalf of us, and they don't even know how to cultivate their voice, right? So we need to get this right. So the first time, we're just going to figure it out. We're going to try it 3 times, right? Breathe in, hands come up. Exhale into the solar plexus. Breathe in, pull the energy up. Hold it. Nice, take a breath in. Exhale down. Great first effort. I think you're like, okay, maybe I'll try it, right? So I want you to think about those times where you really wanted to speak up for yourself, right? And you couldn't. Someone maybe robbed something from you and you're ready to get it back. I want you to dig down in there and pull it out. So let's try it again. Breathe in, hands come up. Exhale into the solar plexus. Breathe in. Hold it. Better. Breathe in. Exhale down. Nice. You feel the power generated with that?
Yes.
Okay, so now I think you really got the gist of what I'm saying. So now I want you to, I want to feel it. I want to, right? Knock me down with your voice. Right? Here we go. Last chance. This is it. Breathe in. Exhale. Push the energy into the solar plexus. Connect in with the people around you so that we all move at the same time. Breathe in. Pull the energy up. Hold it. Breathe in. Exhale down. Nice. Very nice. Beautiful. You can take your seat. Very nice. You feel that? Now, if you did that once a day, how do you think your voice will develop? Yeah, think about it. Think about it. Very powerful stuff. It's really great to do this if you know you were supposed to speak up for yourself and you didn't, and in the moment you're like, instead of feeling guilty, just do a couple of hyperthrows. Rebalance yourself. Don't spend any time feeling guilty. Don't spend any time judging yourself. Just move on. Right? Next slide. Okay, so manifesting greatness, right? How do we manifest greatness? At the campaign for Black Male Achievement, we've decided to roll out the top 10 health and healing strategies that we want to focus on. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but I want you to know that we've just decided to put a stake in the ground and say that there are 10 ways in which we want to start putting health and healing into the world, right? And as you can see, there's nutrition, self-awareness, reinforcing the practical, strategic communications, all of that. And then also, we want the top 10 health and healing strategies. We want to share these strategies also for trauma-informed care, for stress management for teachers, because our young people are dealing with teachers who are bringing their stress into the classroom, right? And then for mentorship of and Black males, and for strategic communications, right? So we are putting a stake in the ground, and we're going to go around the country and just train people. This is how we change the game, right? So this is our first step. You'll hear more about it as time goes on. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the oxygen connection. Oxygen connection, right? So we've been practicing some breathing exercises. Why are I focusing so much on breathing? I haven't even talked about food yet, right? Right? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because the breath, oxygen, connects all the body systems, right? It also connects the body to the mind and emotions. If I say to you, I'm giving you $10 billion, you're gonna go, right? And the connects you to the realization of what I just said, right? But it happens so fast we don't think about it, right? It's very powerful, right? Oxygen is also responsible for cellular respiration, energy, metabolism, all kinds. You know that cancer cannot live in an oxygen-rich environment? Cancer cells, it's not possible, right? So just think about that. Just think about that, right? It's the quickest way to quell the stress errant response, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, and it's your body's highest priority. So as a doctor of natural medicine, I am very, very committed to nutrition. It's extremely important. But if you did not eat this morning, you'd be sitting here looking at me with your stomach growling, right? Hydration, extremely important, right? You can go 4 weeks without eating. I know what you're thinking, I can't go a day. But you would live for 4 weeks. You'd be real uncomfortable that last week, but you'd be here, right? Hydration, important. But you could go 7 days without drinking. Last day would be rough, but you'd still be alive, and we could save your life. But if I took your breath away this morning, where would you be? You wouldn't be here, right? How long after I took your breath away would not your entire body stop everything and focus all of its energy to trying to get the breath, right? That's how powerful the breath is. Yet when we are upset, when we are focused and concentrating, we either stop breathing or we do something like this. Now, I know nobody in this room does this when they're frustrated. Giving your oxygen away at the very moment your body needs it. Why do we do that? We're not even thinking about it. We're just unconscious about it, right? I'm trying to bring the consciousness back to the little things we do all day that snip away our protection and our power. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go to the next slide, and we'll talk a little bit about what the oxygen does in the body. So here's an interesting thing. Your brain and your body, right? It's very difficult for your brain to know the difference between something that actually happened and something that you imagined or reimagined or remembered. So for example, if I'm driving down the street and a deer jumps in front of the car, I'm like, oh, right? That's real. That's real. But if tomorrow I see you and I'm like, girl, you ain't gonna believe I was driving out in the middle of nowhere in California and this deer jumped out in front and I can't believe it. And the body has the same response, right? Same response. So let's go to the next slide. And I want to read this quote. Hopefully I can see it properly, which is really powerful. It says, responding to perceived threats take a toll on our bodies. The same goes from an anticipated negative future situation. Anticipated negative future situation. Something ain't happened yet, right? Our body goes through the full-scale stress reaction. It's like bringing out all the fire engines and firefighters to a false alarm, right? That turns out to be a false alarm. So if we live in a state of worry or regret, this process is going on inside of us all the time. All the time. Every time you regurgitate something that didn't happen, you're feeling it in your body, you're causing inflammation. Now the person that did it to you, they're not getting inflammation in their body. Only you, when you're regurgitating, every time you see them, it's just like, right? You're hurting yourself. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's releasing yourself so that you can heal, you know? The person sticks the knife in, right? Forgiveness is you pull it out so that you can heal. That's it. You know, karma will take care of that person. So let's go to the next slide. This making sense to you? Next slide. Good. Next slide, person. Okay. So let's look at the 4 pillars of self-care. 4 pillars of self-care. If you want to heal the body, if you forget everything that I'm saying, just remember emotions, nutrition, herbal healing. I'm not talking about the stuff that numbs your mind. I'm talking about like basil, cilantro. I'm not talking about stuff that makes you a zombie, all right? All right? And then therapeutic movement, all right? I got to keep it real because I know how we be rolling in California, right? Right? You can decide to zone out if you want to. You can, right? But I'm going to suggest that living in your body can be so much more exciting if you would just connect with it, all right? So let's go to the next slide. Next. All right, so this is the next exercise. This is protection through balancing the heart. So one of the reasons why we get ourselves in trouble is that we forget. We forget that our brain is a warrior and that our heart is either the king or the queen of us, however you choose to identify, right? The one that is in charge is here. The king and the queen gives out orders that the warrior follows. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm standing here and I'm thirsty, right? My brain fires off the neural pathways, so forth, so that I can walk and get water, right? The heart feels the thirst. The brain carries out the action, right? You really mess yourself up if you flip that, right? When we start overthinking. The heart, check in with the heart first, and then you act, right? So the ultimate protection is, how then do I connect in with the truest part of myself and then act from that place? So this is an exercise that helps you do that. It's very simple. All you need to do, you can do any kind of exercise that puts you in the present moment and connected with something that's happening in the present moment inside you, right? So that's what we're going to practice. All I want you to do is just track your heartbeat. And I'm going to ask everyone in the room to be completely silent for this if we can, right? So just come up on the front 1/3 of your chair again, just so that you get into good posture. And then you can do a couple of things. If you want, you can place your hand over your heart, the left side of your chest, or you can bring your fingertips together like this in a relaxed position. Or you can rest your hands on your lap, whatever feels comfortable to you, and ask everyone to please be quiet. If I can get silence in the room, please. Shh. Good. And then as we breathe slowly and deeply in and out, I want you to just focus inside. Focus inside and see if you can hear or feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. We're going to try to be silent for about 30 seconds. And I want you to track the rhythm, feel or hear your heartbeat. Breathing slowly and deeply in and out. I'm going to go silent and then I'll come back in about 30 seconds. Take a slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, you can slowly open your eyes. Lower your hands. I like to do that exercise in every presentation because we never take the time to be quiet. It's so hard for us, right? Is there anyone that could not feel their heartbeat? Okay, good. I forgot to make the announcement earlier that if you don't feel your heartbeat, you're not dead. It's okay. It just means you're more disconnected from yourself. Who felt it in their heart? Heart? Okay, any people feeling their fingertips? Fingertips, you got fingertips. Anybody feel it somewhere else, like their neck or somewhere else? Okay. It's powerful, right? Let your heart speak to you and be okay with that. Be okay with checking in. You are the authority in your life. No one else. No one else, right? So that's how protection comes from the inside out. You have to protect yourself and build a force field around yourself, right? But if you don't even know who you are and what energy is what, how do you do that, right? How do you know if you don't know what energy is yours and what energy is someone else infringing on you, right? You've got to be able to know the difference between that. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, nutrition. I'm going to spend just a little bit of time on that. Hope y'all save me some food. I'm just saying. So, nutrition. Food is either nutrition or it's waste. So your body can't be like, you know what, I'm going to just forget that you ate them pork rinds. I'm going to just act like that didn't happen. No, your body has got to deal with it. Your body literally has to find energy and resources somewhere and get it out of the body because it's not offering your body any nutrition, right? So the elimination channel is through these channels, right? Digestive, urinary, skin. We know about sweating, we know about going to the bathroom, but respiratory, very powerful way that we eliminate toxins. It's one of the primary ways that your blood is cleaned, right? So we're not breathing properly. It's a problem, right? And I meant to say in the other slide that your brain is only 2% of your body's mass, but it requires 20% of your body's oxygen and calories. Just go meditate on that for a year. It's powerful. Something that small needs 20% of your oxygen. But you can't just, otherwise you faint, right? So what it wants you to do is to take slow, long, deep breaths all day long so that you get 20% of the oxygen up here, right? Just think about that. I'm gonna just let you meditate on that for a while, right? That'll take you on a journey in and of itself. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, healing foods, healing foods. These are the foods that help your body heal, right? These are the foods that help your body heal. So I'm not going to spend too much time because I know I think I only have about 10 minutes or so. But I want to highlight that these, just like in the time matrix, you need to somehow find yourself in the matrix. You need to look and see, am I not eating some of these foods? Am I not paying attention to some of these foods? A lot of times when people are dealing with health issues, something's missing. And they don't know what's missing. So I'm going to highlight the two things that people really seem to get mixed up, right? Of all of these, I want to talk about hydration first, right? Because hydration, people say, I don't understand why I'm so dry. I'm drinking water all day. Because hydration is not just about water. That's the challenge, right? Hydration is an equation. The equation is water plus electrolytes, plus essential fatty acids. And here's the thing, essential fatty acids you have to get from food. You have to, right? So if you're not getting your essential fatty acids, you'll know if you go to the bathroom and your urine is clear, your body could not really do anything with that water. It just went in and out. It gave your body no benefit. So think about your cells like a crumpled up newspaper, and I just poured water on top of that newspaper. It didn't absorb any of it, right? So the squeaky wheel gets what? Oil, right. So what's missing is oil, right? To open up the cell so it can uptake water. And that oil comes from essential fatty acids. And you need to have omega-3s, which don't come in a lot of types of oil. Only a few oils have it, like flax oil, like fish oil, hemp oil. That's one way that I'm okay with hemp. You can have hemp oil. On your body or in your body, hemp oil is phenomenal, right? So hemp oil and chia seed oil is really good. But flax is probably the cheapest. You could just make a salad dressing with these oils and just make sure you're getting it. About a teaspoon a day is fine, right? Avocado oil is great, but it doesn't have the omega-3. I highly recommend it, but since you brought up avocado oil, make sure you get the good stuff. No refined oil, right? So it has to be so dark that it's almost black. And that's how you know that it's the good avocado oil, right? If they don't sell a lot of it, you gotta look for it. So that's why I say it. But avocado oil is rocking, and especially for black folks. It's great for us. And I highly recommend you have it, but you need to have at least about a teaspoon. Most people need at least a teaspoon to a tablespoon of the oil that has the omega-3 in it. So you have to make a conscious effort to get some chia, flax, hemp, one of those oils in your body, right? So great question. Okay, so that's hydration. Let's go back real quick. Or you know what? Keep it here. Keep it here, and I'll talk about the other thing. The other thing is enzymes. Black seed oil is phenomenal. Doesn't have as much omega-3, but I still highly recommend you use it. It's not that the other oils aren't good. The other oils are great. It's just that we have to make an effort to get this particular type of oil, right? Think about a car, right? A specific car needs like 5W30, right? That car needs that kind of oil. You can't put 10W60 in a car that needs 5W30. Well, you could, but you know what happens, right? So our bodies, we get so much of the other oils because it's so widely used. We have to make a special effort to get the omega-3. That's why I bring it up, because we don't. Sometimes we're like, oh, I'm doing olive oil and sesame and this and that. I'm like, but you're missing that little piece. You gotta have a little bit of the omega-3, right? You can also get it through eating fish. It's just hard to find clean fish now.
Can you make chia oil from
Seeds? Yeah, absolutely. You need an oil press, and it's probably cheaper to do it that way if you have an oil press, but you absolutely can. Yeah, and you can grind up chia seeds as well, but you just need a lot of chia seeds. It takes a lot of chia seeds to make a little bit of oil, right? So you just want to really start getting it in your diet. It's very, very important, right? And then the other thing is enzymes. Most of us eat food that's only cooked, right? And I'm not a raw foodist, but you have to eat a little bit of raw food to get enzymes. And if you're not, then you absolutely have to at least take enzymes and probiotics. So if you're not really feeling like your diet is so great right now, you're going to need to help your body heal in that way. So 2 ways of getting enzymes is by eating raw foods and taking probiotics, and the other is putting herbs in your food. Right, raw herbs like basil and cilantro and whatever those, rosemary, all those good herbs. Start cooking with herbs. That'll help digest the food, and they have healing properties as well. It's wonderful. So those are foods that heal. These are foods that I call saboteurs. They're the protection saboteurs, right? These are the foods that rob and cause inflammation in the body, right? Yeah, I know that there's a sore spot. Everybody has one of those things. They're like, dang it, I can't have that either. This is what I want you to do. Could you just look before you put it in your mouth? Just look at the ingredients. Just look. If you can't pronounce it, you don't know what it is, why are you gonna eat it? Don't eat it. I don't know what da-da-da-da. People, when someone said to me before, they started calling me a witch because I was saying that ginger and peppermint and black pepper was good for headaches. I'm like, okay, you know what ginger, peppermint, and black pepper are. What's in acetaminophen? What's that? What's ibuprofen? What's in it? What is that, all that stuff? To me, that's witchcraft. You're gonna just blindly put it in your body, you don't even know what it is. Right? So these are the types of, I didn't even want to call it foods. I wanted to call it substances, because you can't even really call this stuff food, right? All of these cause inflammation in different ways. Artificial colors and preservatives. Coffee, billion-dollar industry. They keep trying to come up with research to tell you that it's good for you. It's not. It's not, right? If you use it in an enema, it'll help pull out stuff that's real locked up, because that's what coffee does, it extracts. But the problem is it will also extract B and C vitamins and calcium and magnesium from your body, right? So I know it's addictive. If you're thinking about the smell of your grandma's house, keep grandma, drop the coffee. Okay, next slide. All right. Oh, really important to talk about. I had to use slides because I'll just go off on tangents if I don't. So, if you have a challenge in your body and you do not know what it is, I've tried everything, the doctor can't figure out what's going on, it's probably connected to yeast, right? Yeast is one of those things that kind of sneaks up in the background. And I'm gonna tell you how it happens. What happens is you start taking contraceptives, or you have to get a shot, a cortisone shot or something like that, right? That happens, and then the yeast that is already in your body, because yeast is not bad. Overgrowth of yeast is bad, right? It lives in harmony with other bacteria, very beneficial. But when it goes rogue, it grows rogue. It's like a Tasmanian devil in the body, right? when it goes rogue, it can emit over 70 toxins in the body, right? It can cause everything from athlete's foot to acne, to digestive issues, allergies. I could go on and on and on and on and on of things that you can track back to an overgrowth of yeast in the body. So I like to bring it up in presentation so people know. So antibiotics, cortisone-type drugs, chemotherapeutic type drugs, contraceptives, those type of things. Basically, when you go to a doctor and they give you a substance, 2 hours later, take a probiotic. And then continue to take a probiotic for the next 6 months, just to make sure that the overgrowth of yeast does not happen, right? If you do that, then you will probably not manifest any kind of issue. But what happens is no one tells you that, and then you just go on about your business, and then, then you go eat some cake, and yeast loves sugar, and then next thing you know, you get a cough, and you don't think about it, and then you're like, I never had allergies before, right? Or something else happens in the body. 70 different ways of manifesting dis-ease in your body that we know of comes from yeast, right? So if you are unsure of what's going on, the very first thing you want to do is just start taking probiotics. Just start taking them, right? Just go for it. And anytime you have any procedure, probiotics. You go to the dentist, probiotics. 6 months. Give your body a nice long time to make sure anything that's going on, the probiotics will eat the protein shell off of a virus, right?
There's so many probiotics.
There's so many probiotics, and a lot of them are junk. Thank you for bringing that out. I'm going to travel with you because you asked all the good questions. Thank you for prompting me for that. There are, this particular probiotic is one of my favorites. It's called Health Force Friendly Force. It's sold at like Berkeley Bowl, and you can get it online.
They're expensive too.
They are expensive. But there are some places like Vitacost.com that sells them at a little bit better price.
So this is what, about $50?
It's about $45, yeah, for a big bottle of it. But there's another one called Mega Food, which is pretty good as well, that you can get at the health food store. It's called Mega Flora, and they have a couple different versions, some for women, for different issues. But yeah, you've got to get, what you want to look for is food-based and clean, right? You want to make sure it doesn't have a whole bunch of fillers and stuff in it. So you've got to read the labels, because if you buy it, they'll keep making it. So what I'm trying to get you to do is stop giving money to people that are producing products that are killing us, right? And you're supporting them by buying it. And I know sometimes it's like, well, this is a little more expensive. It's cheaper than a hospital visit, right? And if you start paying for it more, the price will go down, right? So this is one that I really like. So look at probiotics first, right, to begin to help balance the body. So let's go to the next slide. Mega Food. Yeah, Mega Food. I used it, and constantly be looking to see if the companies are getting bought up. I used to promote another vitamin company, and then they got bought by Procter & Gamble, and I was so disappointed. I had to go change all my stuff, right? So make sure you look. Right now, Mega Food's still good. That one is still good too, Health Force Friendly Force. So, a couple of things that just nutritionally get started, because I don't really have time to really deep dive into nutrition like I'd like to. But just think about these strategies. Try to eat breakfast at dawn. And some people say, I'm not hungry. I'm like, yeah, you want to, if I told my car, I want to drive to San Jose, but I'm not going to give you no gas, what will my car say? Car be like, psst, please, I ain't even going to start. You want me to start with no gas? Right? But we're going to go through a whole stressful day as people of color with the level of stress we got, and we're not going to give ourselves no fuel. At least start with something like a smoothie, a piece of fruit, an apple, something, right? Get something in your body. Just get in the habit of doing it. You got in the habit of being where you are now. So it takes a little effort to get into a habit to reset your body, right? Heaviest meal at lunch. This is difficult, right? But your digestive energy fire is the strongest at noon. So you want to eat heavy stuff. If you eat meat, that would be the time. right? Right? Heavy meal at lunch, then you want to pipe it down at night. And this is why, especially if you have disease, when your body goes to sleep, that's when it goes around. It's like a little guy in a truck is driving around like, ooh, I need to spackle that. It does that all night long. It's like looking, oh, you got joint, let me put some oil in them joints. Let me go around and, you know. But if you eat a real heavy meal, after 7 o'clock at night, your body will spend the entire night digesting food. There will be no healing at all whatsoever. When you get up in the morning and you feel full, your body's still digesting. No healing, right? So if you're trying to heal an issue and you're like, I'm eating right, I'm exercising, and I'm still not, you know, making any progress, look to see, are you eating after 7, right? Right? So after 7, if you have like a business dinner or whatever, take a digestive enzyme with you. At least help you. What I do is, if I have to eat after, I take a digestive enzyme with that meal. I keep them in my purse. And then before I go to, like an hour before I'm going to bed, if I still feel full, I take another one. Just help my body out. I'm saying a digestive enzyme. So another great question. All right. Probiotics, digestive enzymes. There are 2 types. So probiotics sound like stuff you can't pronounce. Something acidophilus, right? It has the bifidius after it, right? That type of. And it helps to clean the blood, right? So that is beautiful and important to have. The other, and it comes naturally in herbs and in raw foods. So digestive enzymes end in like ASE. So you hear like lipase, protease, right? These are enzymes that help your body digest protein, fats, and carbs. So the digestive enzyme is what you want to do like with food, right? And some probiotics you can take with food as well. You have to kind of look at the what the instructions say, but most of the time you will tend to take probiotics like in the morning and in the evening just to kind of work on digestion, and then with food or right after you eat, you take a digestive enzyme. And when you start eating healthy, you won't need to be taking all these enzymes. I'm just giving it to you in the beginning, okay? Yeah, so really important to know, just to help your body. What will happen is you'll be like, you know what, I'm feeling good, I don't think I need to do this anymore. But as you're learning to eat, as you're, you know, trying to get your schedule together, all of that, just help your body out, right? I don't want anyone to ever be dependent on an outside source for anything. But sometimes we need to help ourselves get from where we are to where we want to be, all right? Right. So sipping water throughout the day, people get really thirsty and then they gulp it down. That's hard for your body to deal with, right? Just sip, 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 sip all day long. Right? It's much easier on the body. And then smaller meals are better than big, 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 large meals. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Next slide. Okay, so the hormonal connection. Stress is really important, causes inflammation. And what it is you have 2 tanks in the body. You have sex hormones and stress hormones. And if you are so stressed out, your sex hormones have the ability to shapeshift and turn into stress hormones. So what do you think the implications of that is? If you're really, really stressed, right? So it contributes to many, many, many issues. So when you have a lot of stress, what happens is your body then, estrogen dominance becomes a factor, right? Because estrogen kind of kicks in and causes this vicious cycle where you have too much estrogen in the body, and then your blood, your liver filters out the estrogen and then sends it to the colon, and if you have fiber in the colon, it moves out of the body, but if you don't eat fiber, it goes back into the bloodstream. It's this vicious cycle. And then you're stressed and then you're creating more hormonal imbalances, right? So let's go to the next slide and look at some ways in which we can. All right, so that's the process that I'm talking about. So when we looking at what the type of foods that we need to get in the body, beans and nuts and grains and seeds and like foods that you're eating today are all fiber-rich foods that help maintain the, the beauty and the cycle that's going on in the body, and it helps to make sure that there's not too much estrogen in the body. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide. I only have a few minutes left. So I'll make sure that you have this information. Your liver is like the CEO of the body, has over 600 functions that we know of. right? This is only that we know of. So when you don't know what to do, work on the liver. So I'm always trying to give people quick strategies. So these are things that you can eat, drink, do herbal healing and movement to help with the body. So since I'm running out of time, I just want to laugh and say, what's the first thing it says? To eat what? An apple. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? So just start by picking a few of these things, right? So I'll make sure that you have this information, but we're going to go to the next slide because I don't want to go over time. Okay, so we're almost done. I want to share with you something about natural law and mantras, right? Natural law. If I am standing at the edge of a cliff and number 45, I never say the name because until he does something worthy of respect, I will not say his name. But if I'm standing on the edge of a cliff with number 45 and we both jump off, what's going to happen? Right? Give from your excess and not from your essence. Give from your excess and not from your essence. If I have $5, I cannot give you 10. Right? People argue with me all the time, but I have to give, I have to. I'm like, no, you don't. You cannot give what you don't have. It's not possible. Show me how you can give me $10 when you only have 5, and then I'll let you win the argument. Until then, give from your excess. Fill yourself up until you're in overflow. From that, you give to others. Never the other way around. Period. End of conversation. Until you can tell me how you can give when you don't have. Fair enough? Really important. Breathe, pause, and then speak or act. So let's go to the next one. We talked about that, right? Next one. Next. When in pain, refrain, right? Just try to remember them. I try to make it like mantras, something to think about. Sitting is a new smoke. Someone sent me an email like, ooh, girl, I smoked a pack today. I'm like, you better get up and stretch, right? Allow your eyes to be windows and not projectors, right? Think about that. Allow your eyes to be windows and not projectors. The projector is projecting something that was put into the computer, right? If I get upset with you, am I upset with you or am I upset that you triggered something from my past? Just see what's there. And that helps if you breathe first, right? So let's go. Oh, this is a summary of what we talked about. So what we talked about today is checking in with yourself first, connecting with your joy and your purpose, right? We talked about and we experienced a little bit of therapeutic movement, right? Breathe, pause, speak, act. When in pain, refrain. Continually refine and create your self-care toolkit. I gave you some things to work with. I have hundreds of different ways, and you'll find many different ways on your path. But the important thing is situation, counter strategy. Develop a counter strategy for everything. Someone speaks to me wrong, this is what I do. This happens, this is how I take care of myself. I didn't eat enough, this is what I'm gonna do. Your self-care toolkit has to be the I got it down pat. You need to know what that is. If I shake you in the middle of the night, you jump up, you're like, this is what I'm gonna do. Right? Work on that. Time management and stretch yourself. Be willing to stretch yourself. Be willing to be okay in the unknown zone, right? Go there, because that's where your strength is, that's where your power is, that's where the answers are. Vision what you want for yourself, even if you can't even imagine how it could happen, right? And hold on to that vision regardless of what you see. Fair enough? Yes. And let's go to the next slide, which I think is just resources. Oh, okay. I can't end the presentation without this quote from Osho. He says, to grow old is not to grow up, right? To become old is not to become mature, right? Maturity has nothing to do with old age. In fact, nothing to do with age at all. Maturity has something to do with becoming more and more conscious, becoming more and more aware, becoming more and more silent, right? And watchful of what you are doing and why, where you are going and why. If you forget everything I said today, and you just, before you do something, ask yourself, what am I about to do and why? Before you say something, what am I about to say and why? Before you eat something, what am I about to eat and why? You will transform your life. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. So you go to the next slide and you can just leave it up there. It's just resources, I believe. Yes. So this is how you can reach me. And these are some links that I'll leave as well for breathing exercises, Qigong exercises, things that you can try, right, to actively engage in your own self-care. Right? So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I feel like this hour went by in like 2 seconds. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be well and be radiant.
So I want to invite everybody just to stand up for 1 second. Honor Dr. Phil. Let's do a little thank you, Dr. Phil. Let's do this with our hands. Can we do it with our hands? Thank you, Dr. Phil.
Therapeutic Movement.
And are we breathing? And are we sending some good energy up to her as well, right? She gave to us. Remembering you can't give if you don't have whatever. Wait, give from your
excess.
Give from your excess, not from your essence.
So giving from any excess that we have, sharing love with Dr. Phil, sharing love for Black male achievement, yes? Yes, for our Black folks, yes? Kuja Chakalia, self-determination. Are we about that this year? Are we determining our own destiny? Are we happy and excited to be healthy? Do we want to heal our planet? Yes. Are we grateful for our ancestors? Yes. All right, so we want to say thank you to Dr. Phil.